Let's start. So welcome to our today's webinar, leveraging machine learning to validate your general ledger. My name is Johannes Schwele, and first of all, I would like to guide you through some housekeeping we have today. This webinar will last about 45 minutes, and in the end, of course, we will have 50 minutes for your questions. Please hand in your questions via the Q&A section in Teams on the top of the bar. This webinar is being recorded, and the recording and the slides will be shared afterwards via email with you. If we will not have time to answer all your questions, of course, we will follow up individually with you after the webinar. Please let me go with you through the agenda of today's webinar. So first of all, Philipp will do a short introduction of DAB Daten- und Analyse-Beratungs GmbH. Then Moritz will tell you about the business challenge, and then we will answer the question, what is a market basket analysis? Then we will show you how we set up the solution here and give you some real-world examples. And in the end, of course, as mentioned, we will have time for your questions. Thank you very much. Over to you, Philipp.
Yeah, for all of you who do not yet know the DAB, I will shortly introduce our company to you. So we are founded in 2004, so this year we become 20 years old. So almost 2 decades where we focus on extracting and analyzing data from, especially SAP systems. So we have an own extractor, we have an own bunch of analytics, and this is our core business. And for the core business, 50 employees are working for over, I think it's almost 300 customers in more than 20 countries worldwide. When I show you our list of customers, you can see that we have a quite diverse group of customers. So it comes to, for example, the city of Bochum, which is a public institution, which is focusing on internal controls and also audit topics. We have with Atlas Copco Group, one of the very big manufacturers. We have chemical companies like Lanxess or Covestro or Huntsman, retailer, and so on and so on. A lot of different businesses, but they have one thing in common, and that is the usage of SAP. And with that baseline of the ERP system, SAP, we can serve all of them with similar analytics and similar approaches. And one of the approaches we will show you today, our market basket analysis, which we have already been using for some of them. And let me first show you who will tell you this. And there I have my colleague Moritz, who is mostly the brain behind our machine learning and AI algorithms. He leads our data science department and is already in the company, I think, for more than 5 years now. And I will also talk a little bit. I'm doing partner management and consulting in our company, and am working for the DAB for almost more than 7 years now. So I started in 2017, already a long time. And with that said, I think we can jump directly into the happening, and Moritz can tell us a little bit about the business challenge.
Right, thanks, Philip. So hello again from my side. Now, before we dive into the topic of the market basket analysis, let's talk a little bit about the background and how we came up with this idea and what was the exact business challenge and the problem we wanted to solve. So, as you can see on this slide, there is an SAP document on the right side on the screen of this laptop. And as you can see, we have different columns. So let's quickly check those columns. We have the company code. It's 1000 because please keep in mind, we are looking at a single SAP document here. And of course, for those 4 line items shown in here, the company code is 1000. The next column is the fiscal year. It is 2023. Again, the same value in each row, in each line item, because keep in mind, this is a single SAP document. Then we have an accounting document number. Then we have the number of the line item, enumeration from 1 to 4. And the last column, there is the GL account used per line item. So we look at a single SAP document here. And now we wanted to know in the past which combinations of GL accounts are frequently used and which are infrequently used. So let's quickly check those GL accounts in here. So the first, this AR third domestic, is an accounts receivable account for third-party domestic customers. The next GL account, the sales rep serve third, that one is an revenue account reflecting the company's income, and at least we have that in freight third domestic, and that is an account for freight charges billed to customers. And then in the last line item, in line item number 4, we have again that sales rep serve as in line item number 2. I think probably almost all of you have seen such SAP documents, and we are looking at a single random SAP document in here. And the question now is, which combinations of GL accounts do frequently occur? So doesn't this question sound really, really simple? But indeed, if we look at the next slide, the answer, so generating the answer isn't that easy. Why? Because each company, especially bigger companies, have thousands of general ledger accounts. And as we have seen on the previous slide, if there is an SAP document with 4 line items, so with 4 GL accounts, the combination out of thousands of GL accounts is nearly infinite. So checking general ledger bookings or sub-ledger bookings is indeed a never-ending story. So if we look at maybe thousands, millions of SAP documents, and we want to know which combinations of GL accounts are frequently used in those SAP documents, the answer is simple, but the question is simple, but finding the answer isn't that easy. And then we came up with this idea of using a market basket analysis. And on the next slide, if you think back to the last time when you were online shopping, maybe you were looking for a nice suit or a dress for a wedding party or whatever. And if you put a suit or any piece of clothing in your shopping cart, then there is this customers who also bought. So in this example on the right side here on the screen, we can see if we put a certain suit in the shopping cart, then there is this category of customers who bought this, also bought, and there is the perfect matching tie, there is the perfect matching shirt, the perfect matching trousers, and of course the perfect matching shoes. And in the background, this is done indeed with a market basket analysis. And here again, the slides before we talked about SAP documents and the used GL accounts, and now we see another use case. We talk about shopping carts and items in a shopping cart. So the problem is the same, only the area where it is applied is different. So let's bring this idea, this approach into the world of SAP data. And on the next slide, we can see again some SAP documents. So you already know this table now. We have the company code, the fiscal year, the accounting document number, the number of line item, and the GL accounts used per line item. And now the difference is between this table and the preceding table. Now we have document A consisting of line item number 1, 2, and 3. The following 4 rows or line items refer to document B, and so on. So now keep in mind, please imagine we have thousands or millions of such documents, and the question is which GL accounts are frequently used, so the combination of them. And now we have seen that example with e-commerce and online shopping, and customers who bought this also bought that. And now let's make it easy. Let's interpret those documents as shopping carts, and let's interpret the GL accounts in those documents, so in those shopping carts, as items. And now here you can see on this slide, the items are now at the bottom represented or symbolized by apples, bananas, coffee beans, bread, and so on. So it really doesn't matter what's in the shopping cart. So if you do that market basket analysis for pieces of clothing or for a grocery store, it really doesn't matter. So the concept stays the same. And now we interpret those SAP documents, as we can see on this slide, as shopping carts, and the GL accounts used in those documents we analyze as items. And now if we perform a market basket analysis, as we have seen already before in that example with the e-commerce, customers who bought also bought, now we have some similar results we can see on the next slide. And before we apply the market basket analysis to the SAP data, let's again have a look at the results of an MBA in short, so the market basket analysis, maybe based on shopping carts from a grocery store. So let's imagine we look at the past data from a grocery store at the past shopping carts, and we perform a market basket analysis. Then one rule, one result could be, if there is an apple in the shopping cart, then there are also bananas in 99.9% of the cases. We have seen before this example with the suit and the perfect matching trousers and so on. And this information is based on such a rule as we can see here. So if there is an apple in the shopping cart, then there are also bananas in 99% of the cases. And if you put the apple in a shopping cart, then customers who bought an apple also bought a banana. This is the whole concept behind that idea. Okay, let's bring this now to the SAP documents, so into the world of SAP data. Let's imagine we have millions of SAP documents and we perform now the market basket analysis, and the results are such a rule as you can see here with this example, if there is an apple and so on. If we apply this to SAP data, you can see now 3 rules shown at the results table at the bottom here. So let's quickly go through this table. We have in the first column the rule number 1, 2, 3. So we show 3 rules here. So the results table contains 3 rules that were generated by the market basket analysis. Then we have the rules itself. Let's check the first rule. So in row number 1, in column rule, there it says, if an SAP document contains Elco Clear account and output VAT, then also cash discounts. So this is now the rule. So maybe I read it again because this is a very crucial part. So the first rule now says, if an SAP document contains the GL account Elco Clear account and output VAT, then also cash discounts. Let's look at the performance of this rule. The next column, number of SAP documents following that given rule, we can see the number is 33,000 or more than 33K. And we generated this results table based on real customer data. And it is very interesting that there is a rule that is true for more than 30,000 SAP documents. And now you can see at the last column, there are only 2 SAP documents that break that rule. So imagine we have millions of SAP documents, and then we perform a market basket analysis based on those documents, especially on the used general ledger accounts in each document. And then we can generate rules with this MBA, with this market basket analysis. And we have done that. And now you can see the results table of this analysis. And we, for today's demo purposes, we display 3 rules. And now we had a look at the first rule. And that rule holds true for more than 30K SAP documents. And there are only 2 exceptions. Let's have a look at the next rule, and then especially have a look at those those single outlier. So the second rule in row number 2 says, if a document contains AR third domestic and sales rep serve and inf freight third domestic, then also output VAT. And this was done based on real customer data, so nothing is faked here or based on fake data. No, this is a real world example based on real data. And this rule that is highlighted now holds true for 1,541 SAP documents. And there is only a single exception. And now let's have a look at that outlier, at that exception. So at the bottom table, we can see the result of the market basket analysis, those 3 rules that were found doing that data mining with the MBA. We have now a look at the second rule. You can see in that column rule, 1,541 SAP documents follow that rule, and there is only a single exception. And now let's check the exception. And the exception now is at the top right. This SAP document contains of 4 line items. And let's see why this SAP document violates the rule. So Philip, if you click once more, we can see that the first GL account is highlighted. So in blue, this AR third domestic is indeed in that SAP document shown at the top. So now if you click again, please, we can see that in red that sales rep serve third is also in the SAP document. It is there more than once, but this is not a problem. Now, the third GL account in blue, that inf freight third domestic, is also in that SAP document at the bottom. But now if you click once more, maybe or most likely someone in accounting forgot to put in the output VAT. So this GL account now is missing. So if we do a little recap, we have millions of SAP documents. We use that concept of e-commerce, or that is used in e-commerce, the market basket analysis, to find rules that tell us which combinations of GL accounts are frequently used. Here we have a specific rule found. And this rule holds true for 1,541 SAP documents, and there is only a single exception. And at the top, you can see that SAP document that violates that rule because that output VAT is clearly missing. So most likely someone did or made a mistake here. Oh, thanks for the thumbs up. Yeah. So this is the whole concept of the market basket analysis. So we brought this idea from e-commerce into the world of SAP documents. And of course, you can use this market basket analysis for a lot of use cases more. And now, Philip, can you give us a little bit more insights on how our customers go from SAP, so from the data to the results? And maybe you can show us another example in Power BI.
Yeah, I can surely do this, and let us think through the whole process of analyzing this data. Because if we say we will not be able to manually find any rules, then it also doesn't make sense to manually extract the data and analyze the data the way we did. That's why we have a full process, and as partner of Microsoft, we are also fully, or it is possible to seamlessly integrate our solution in your existing Microsoft environment. So we have, as already shortly mentioned in the beginning, an own extractor. And that data extractor, our SAP connector, so to say, can easily connect with your SAP system or systems. We use an own RFC function module. So it is certified by SAP. It is an own developed function module which communicates between our data extraction engine, DAB Nexus, and your SAP system. And with that, we take the data we need to create the baseline for that analytic. So that data extraction can be started automatically, so that you can say, I want every quarter that market basket analysis, then every quarter, maybe on the 5th day of each new quarter, we can automatically extract the data. With the extracted data, this is at first only tables. Like you might know, when we talk about general ledger, we talk about BSEC, BKPF, and so on and so on. That in mind helps us to understand that, by only having the raw data tables, we cannot run a market basket analysis. That's why we create so-called base tables, or just simple data products for general ledger bookings. These are on line item level, so that we get every document and every line item in a big table, also with the information like which is the account it is booked against. And this as a basis, we then use for the market basket analysis. Because then we have all our market baskets, all our products inside, and then we let the machine learning algorithm learn the rules and find exceptions. And that is all what you see from here to here. You don't need to have any special knowledge or whatsoever. You just define by typing in some company codes and time period, fiscal year, what period and what amount of data you want to have analyzed and what kind of company code should be involved. So that whole process is just to show you a little bit on what we do in the background, but you will not be, or you don't need to see and perform all these steps manually. And then some market basket analysis in the end comes out. That market basket analysis comes, as usual, at first only as a table. I mean, we have some people who love working with big tables with a lot of data, but for the others, people like me, it might make more sense to also visualize that stuff. And as I said, we're a Microsoft partner, so we can fully use the whole power of the Microsoft Power Platform, all the Power Apps, etc., and also apps like Microsoft Power BI. And this is fully or seamlessly integratable, so we can create predefined visuals in Power BI, which show you a little nicer what is happening in the end, instead of a large table. If you like it, I mean, you can also get yourself out a table. In general, it also works with other technologies, as we have our engine based on SQL and Azure SQL. We can also connect it with every possible BI tool or visualization tool, which can connect to SQL or Azure SQL databases. That's just said. And also we have this analysis running on ACL as well, ACL robotics, ACL desktop, with a subconnector. So also in this world, we can offer you that market basket analysis. And then after the visualization, we have a little link, the small DAB link, which is a small tool when you can click inside the Power BI dashboard on a link, on an actual link, and then that SAP accounting document can open automatically in SAP if you have the rights to also look this up. So if you maybe see a mistake and want to follow up on the results, you can directly jump back into SAP and correct your mistake. So short summarization, we have on the one hand our own products, DAB Nexus, which is the core for the data extraction, and also the engine for the SAP Analytics. That extraction tool is made for large amounts of data. So yes, you can only extract like one line item, but we also have big customers, and especially for the general ledger, the market basket analysis, when it goes on the general ledger, we need quite some data. So we can also extract hundreds of millions of data without any issues and without putting harm on your SAP system. Then our DAB Analytics Suite runs. That is the content. And this content is made so that everyone can use it. So we can make SAP Analytics for everyone as a self-service without knowing any big SAP data knowledge or any IT knowledge. So you only need to know what kind of company code, fiscal year you want to analyze, and that's it. Then it comes, if you have it, but at the moment almost every company uses Microsoft Power BI, so we can prepare some visuals directly, which makes it nicer to work with. And if you want to directly jump back into your corresponding SAP transaction, you can also make usage of the tab link. But now enough said without having a look into what I just showed. And this is now how such a Power BI dashboard, the overview dashboard, looks like. So what Moritz has earlier showed you, we now have an overview of what kind of exceptions per rule we have. Here you see a little bit of data, like how many company codes, fiscal years, etc., etc. So this is also real life data, which we have anonymized so that we can use it and show it. And you can see that we have some rules. We also have a little bit more rules. But nevertheless, we can have a look at these rules. So here we have also an accounts payable account for domestic. We have other general expenses, and then also input tax. So this is the rule. And here we also have like 49,721 documents which are following that rule, and one document which is not okay, and the missing account is input tax. So as we can see, that input tax is quite, I would say, one of the big missing accounts. Makes sense when you have to book things quickly. You might forget it, but it can have quite significant impact on you. Also, for your external audits, etc., it makes sense to find these issues up front. And then we also have some others. If you want to spend some annual bonuses, you book this against other personnel expenses and salaries. And then usually you also take your bank account from Deutsche Bank. So that rule is also followed in 26,896 times. And one time the Deutsche Bank account is missing. And so on and so on. So that overview, what we see here, is based on a large amount of data where we found 20 rules with exceptions. And we can have a closer look on the next slide of how this can look like. And now everyone who studied business will get back to his university time. You now have the T account displayed here, and you can select your rule. So we have multiple rules for different years, different rules, different company codes, etc., etc. And then the selected rule is shown at the top. So if a receipt contains AP domestic, so accounts payable from a domestic a vendor, then it's also booked against other general expenses and also with input tax. And here we can now see what kind of a debit and credit things we have. And we can already see our missing account here is the input tax. So we only book the operating supplies, insurance, machinery, rental, travel expenses, and so on against AP domestics only without input tax. And that link, what you can see here, that would be our link inside our SAP system, where you can just click and then your SAP system would open so that you can also follow up in SAP on this. It also works with other rules. So we have some supplies, insurance, then also Deutsche Bank is involved. And here we can see we have operating supplies, insurance, machinery, rental, travel, expensive. It's also only booked against AP domestic and not against a Deutsche Bank account. So I would say that easy overview is easy to read and also good to follow up on these rules. We simplified this a little bit for that webinar, but nevertheless, these rules which we can find automatically in your data are very widespread. For this webinar, we thought about like an easy example, which everyone from the business knows and which is not that critical. And it's very easy to understand when you have a little business background that we book debit against credit and the accounts one against some others, or we have a M2N connection on this. But for the future, we want to also make sure that that example is just an example. It's ready-made, it's ready to use. But we also have other examples for you just to imagine or to help you to imagine on what else you could use as a market basket analysis. And let's have a look at other possible use cases. And we started with an explanation on online shopping e-commerce. So why not doing this the same way in your company? So we can also make or look at the market basket in the way that we compare like vendors as the market baskets and products as the products to see, did we buy strange things on a certain vendor? So did we maybe outline agreements with that? Same way also for customers. Do we maybe sell strange stuff to certain customers? Also can be something if you have or are very regional different. So when we think of big car manufacturers, when you go to the US, you find some other models from big car manufacturers as in Europe. So you could also have a look at products and countries. So did we sell like German, or a product which was made for Germany to, for example, the US, where you need different mirrors, etc., etc. Then payments and cost centers, or incoming payments and profit center, same way as our general ledger account. So we can look, was the right cost center selected for that payment, or was the right profit center selected for that incoming payment? Then product and material. I mean, we can, or we have a very complex bill of material usage in SAP. And we can make a little bit easier, like when we see, okay, we have a product and these are the materials. So look at your own rules. And maybe we have some materials in a certain product which we produce, which should not belong in there. If you produce like something for the food industry that needs to have higher hygiene standards, so maybe less plastic, more metal, and then you find a product with plastic in your bill of material, that could be as well a good and easy use case. And then when you want to look at what my users are doing, you could also have a look on your SAP users and the transactions they usually use, or what they do not usually do. And sometimes it's a little bit strange if a user should only book like accounts payables, and then you see that that user also booked one transaction, maybe for accounts receivable or whatsoever, what he usually doesn't do. So what's going on there is also a following or a good thing to follow up on authorizations. User and approver is similar concept in this. We can look for which user did, for example, created the purchase order and who approved, and also can find combinations and certain maybe unusual approvers for certain users who did, like, for example, a purchase order. Similar with created by and changed by. Usually you have maybe a certain amount of people who should do or who can do things, and this you can also find. So these are just a few examples and use cases for you to better imagine like what that market basket analysis could be used for. And with that said, we want to sum up the today's webinar, so to just show you what key outcomes we have. So the market basket analysis is usually applied in e-commerce, like customers who bought this also bought that. I mean, everyone knows it from Amazon, and we took this principle and brought it into the world of SAP data. So the good thing about that market basket analysis is that this is looking for actually used roles. And that means there cannot be any false positives. So everything you will find is an exception of a rule found by that machine learning algorithm. We also have a threshold so that a rule cannot be like 50% follows the rule, 50% doesn't follow the rule. So we do only, or we only show these ones where you have a very, very high rate, as we showed, like 99.99%, where we had that 33,002 or whatsoever. Then we can also apply this to customer-specific use cases. When you say we are in retail and we have some certain things, we can we want to find out with market basket analysis this or that. That's not an issue at all. It's usable for all imaginable use cases. I mean, it just needs to make sense somehow, but that is up to you. Then defining rules, as we saw in the beginning, is not possible because the M to N connection of, on our example, general ledger accounts can make millions and billions of possible rules. And if you start writing all of them down, I think you will be doing this until your end of your business life. And even then, you would not have reached all of the rules. And in the meantime, something could have already changed. We only have one limitation, and that's if you do stuff without any rules, and this can sometimes happen in very small teams, I've seen this already, then this analytic does not work. But if you have guidelines, if something should make sense, and if something should follow a rule, then our analytic should also bring you all the exceptions. Yeah, that was our content of the webinar. Now please put in all of your questions. And while you are maybe typing, I will just give you a hint of the next upcoming events of our company. So in 3 weeks from now, we have our DAB Customer Day with a lot of interesting sessions on different topics like artificial intelligence and data analytics, machine learning, and all that stuff. We will talk about process mining. We will have some customers like Total Energies or Siemens Energies talking about their best practices, and you can network and exchange also your best practices on SAP data analytics. And a second thing which we will be doing during summer is a webinar about process mining. Together with Microsoft, we do a lot in the process mining area. And in that webinar, we will also show you like how you can combine red flag analytics, like potential duplicate payments, with process mining to see how does my process for the potential duplicate payments deviate compared with my standard process, to find also if some red flags occur due to wrong processes or process breaches. And we also have something very new, an AI-supported variant clustering to make the variants in your process mining more easy to read and to see, so that we can cluster them so that you don't have like 5,000 variants because you maybe did a purchase order twice or you paid an invoice twice in a process. No, we simplify this with AI so that we have only a very few variants to look up. And we will showcase this in Microsoft Power Automate Process Mining. And now we want to also know something from your side before we answer your questions. And I think here we already have a question ongoing. So on a scale from 1 to 5, how would you rate today's webinar? So if you don't like it, give us some feedback so that we can make it better the next time. If you enjoyed it, we would be happy to get a good rating. And also, if you're interested in that technique, just let us know. That also helps us to see whether we are on a good track with our solutions. And now I think, Johannes, you have already had a look into our questions which we got, and can maybe ask us the important questions.
Yes. So one question was examples of the practical application of this analysis, but that was before the last part. I think you gave all your examples, or a lot of them examples. I hope that question is answered by that last section.
But to say, if you have maybe something in mind, I don't know who did that question, please reach out to us, and then we can also maybe discuss if your idea of what you want to reach can be done with our market basket analysis.
Exactly. Thank you. Then we've got a technical question. Is RFC CDA based on the extraction from SAP? I think no, Philip, that is our own RFC, but please.
Yeah, we have an own RFC function module, and I know where that question comes from because the SAP has shortly released that they are not supporting the usage of their RFC function module anymore. And we have an own RFC function module, and therefore we can use our function module and have no issues with the SAP one. And this is certified by SAP, and this is with that safe and secure to use. Why? Because it's certified, you can also use the same transaction and get your own name room in SAP and can make or install this into your SAP system in 5 to 10 minutes.
Thank you, Philip. There is a question where I'm not sure. Do we have those setups available on sub ILSM? I guess no, because it is outside of SAP.
Is that ILSM? That's a certain module for so
I think that's the lifecycle management.
Yeah.
So this this framework just gives you some machine learning models to experiment with or deploy, and I think the market basket analysis is not in there. So no, it is not available in there. So I hope this answers your question. If you have further questions, maybe reach out to us or we reach out to you, and let's make another meeting on this, because this is, I think, a very special topic.
And here, I would say a more general question. What is the purpose of extract data from SAP over PBI if SAC is available for this purpose?
I mean, that's always a question on what kind of technology you want to use and are using. You can always do everything in SAC. We have specialized on doing SAP data analytics for more than 20 years already, and we see that a lot of people do not want to follow up and control a system inside the system. That is one reason. Then we see that Microsoft is as well a very large platform, and if you use, for example, Power BI as your main reporting tool, then why not also displaying your other things in Microsoft? So this is a decision on what you like more. For us, this comes as a plug-and-play solution. If you want to have an SAC, I mean, feel free to get a bunch of consultings and create it on your own. If you prefer this, that's fully up to you.
Then we've got another one. How is this process mining better or different from SAP Signavio?
So
I mean,
please feel free to.
We cannot spoiler too much. Feel free, and hopefully you have the time to participate at our process mining webinar. I would say different, of course. I mean, it is fully embedded in the Microsoft Power Platform with the whole options of the hyper automation field. What comes with the Power Platform. So I think some interesting aspects, and the details, we will not spoil it too much. So we would be very happy to welcome you on the webinar. That will be, I think, soon, within the next weeks.
Perfect. So I think that's it with the questions.
Any more questions we have?
So there are still a couple of minutes left. So if you have any questions, type it in the Q&A section.
And if they might go deeper. You have our email address. You can follow up also via email with the questions. And then, yeah, we will close the webinar for today. Thank you for attending. It was a pleasure to show you some new and interesting solutions on our side. You will receive the recording soon and also the slides. We will follow up in a very short time. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the day wherever you are.
So
Have a good one.
thanks
Thank you
a
very
lot.
much.
Have a nice
Bye
day.
bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.